Basically, with help of the Almighty, I pray to the Almighty to bestow upon me His truth, His wisdom, that I may be worthy of conveying His message. With the help of the Almighty, I pray to the Almighty to bestow upon me His truth, His wisdom, and that I may be worthy of conveying His message and sanctifying His name. We've come here, a group of rabbis, a delegation from Neturei International, that's nkusa.org. Our reason for being here is to educate and let the world see the truth that the identity of Judaism has been hijacked, stolen, kidnapped by the state of Israel, by their ideology called Zionism. Zionism, the state of Israel, waves the Bible as a deed to legitimize the occupation of Palestine, and in truth, Zionism is nothing to do with Judaism. Zionism is the contradiction to what Judaism is. Judaism is subservient to the Almighty, and Zionism is a transformation from the spirituality, the subservience to God, into a base nationalism, a materialistic concept of materialism, a goal to have a piece of land, to be a respected nation with a strong military, with an Olympic team, a winning Olympic team, and has really it's a repugnant facade of what Judaism is. It has nothing to do with the concept of to be humbled and subservient to God and to accept the teachings of the Torah, what God, the covenant that we made with God, which says in the Torah, you're not allowed to steal, you're not allowed to kill. So to take the land from the Palestinians is stealing. They waive the Torah that says that God give the children of Israel the Holy Land. They're totally, willfully ignoring and omitting the fact that we were warned by God when the time we were given the Torah, made this covenant, that we have to be at a high level of holiness. If not, we will be thrown out of the land. And with the destruction of the temple around 2,000 years ago, this happened. We were expelled from the land, and we were put under oath by God with the prophecies of King Solomon. And this is from Song of Songs of King Solomon, chapter 2, verse 7, and twice again it's repeated. And then in the Talmud, it's elaborate and explained what this prophecy of King Solomon is, that Jews were put under oath by God that we should not attempt to return after the destruction of the temple as a nation en masse. That's one oath. Secondly, not to rebel against any nations. We have to be all citizens in every country residing. And thirdly, not to make any attempt to end exile. So the concept of coming back and making our own sovereign state, even if it would have not been, even if Palestine would have been not uninhabited, it would have been a desolate land, and to just make 1 inch of Jewish sovereignty would have always been opposed by the Jewish rabbinical authorities as it is today. But it gets compounded, this crime of creating the state of Israel, because it was an inhabited land. The majority were Muslim, and then there was a Christian community, and there was a Jewish community. Now, to make a land there, all three basically were upset with that. And we have the documentation. We have a book called The Rabbi Speak Out, 130-year record of religious Jewish opposition to Zionism. In other words, basically Zionism, the concept, the ideology is around 130 years old. Remember, Judaism is thousands of years. Yes. And these Zionists came along, mostly were non-religious, they detested the religion. And all the rabbis universally, that's why it's made to show that around the world, the rabbinical authorities stood up in vehement opposition. I mean, the names to a Jew who's knowledgeable of religion means something. Here I open, this is the Chofetz Chaim. It was from 1839 to 1933, before the state even. And he was one of the leading rabbi, maybe, or one of the leading rabbis. He's a codifier of Jewish law and accepted around the world as respected as one of the leading rabbis. And he wrote, and just quoting one, the Zionists are dead limbs of our people, which cause the entire body to rot. He wrote before the state already. So around the world, when this movement of Zionism came to make a Jewish sovereignty, all the rabbinical authorities stood in opposition, and from day one. And in Palestine itself, this is a book called Historic Documents, which we compiled documents of the anti-Zionists and the facts, what they did, and the terrible crimes they did, and what the Zionists, who they were. So here you see a document that the chief rabbi, J.Z. Dushinsky, his name was Joseph Tzvi Dushinsky, was the chief rabbi in Palestine, and in 1947 he gave an appeal to the representatives of the United Nations, and he said, just one sentence, he said, "We furthermore wish to express our definite opposition to a Jewish state in any part of Palestine." So this was the view shared by the Jewish community. We don't want to have this Jewish state. It's against our religion, basically. So in every facet, in the issue of not having our state, not stealing from people, oppressing people, whatever the Zionists do is against God and the religion. Yet they have the audacity to take the Star of David, the name Israel, and they dress themselves in this name, in this garment of rabbinic or of holiness, and they claim that this gives them the right to take the land, and anybody who opposes them is anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
And they ridicule as self-hating Jews and fringe. Well, in truth, the Jewish community then opposed it from day one, and till today you'll find masses of Jews. Invariably, the more the religious the community around the world, they'll be in opposition. This is in Washington, D.C., when President Obama was visited by Netanyahu. Netanyahu came to the White House. You could see tens of thousands of Jews stood in opposition. Zionist leaders and sympathizers don't represent it as Jewish. Instead, I'll get a better spot for you. Israel's a Zionist state, in other words, not a Jewish state. Let me just show you. This is in Manhattan. Tens of thousands of Jews demonstrating across from the Israeli embassy. I just want to get a placard that you can see. This is in London. Here, Jews are against the state of Israel. The state of Israel does not represent world Jewry, and so on. This is what you will find throughout. Invariably, it's a very religious community. Now, in Palestine, when they demonstrate, we're never armed. We're not militant, and they kill, they murder. You can see these are Israeli police, Israeli the army. They brutally kill, beat, arrest, oppress the religious Jewish community simply because we're speaking up against the occupation, the existence of the state. And the world doesn't see this. It's a small picture, but you can really see the masses of tens of thousands of Jews demonstrating. This is in Jerusalem. And you can see the signs, as we said, there's these are in Ashkelon, it says in different areas. The Zionist state of Israel ruthlessly ignores basic human rights. Basically, that's the issue, that from day one, the Jews oppose this, the ones who are true to the Torah, till today. We mourn and suffer and cry with the Palestinian people suffering. We feel their suffering. We sympathize with them. We are humiliated and mortified that what is being done to us is being done in our name. So it's to us a double tragedy what is being done to people of Palestine. And we suffer spiritually because they are uprooting, the Zionists, they are uprooting from the hearts and souls of Jewish people their connection to God. Because everybody knew till today that a Jew means to be subservient to God, to accept the covenant of the Torah, to follow it. And unfortunately, Zionism has come and tried to replace that with a base, a loyalty to a state. And many Jews who come from Russia or many other places who are ignorant of their religion feels that they're satisfied with to be a Jew simply by supporting the state of Israel. So they're uprooting from the generations their connection to God, and they're committing crimes against the other people. Another thing is they've created a rift between Jews and Muslims. Jews have always enjoyed the friendship and hospitality of Muslim nations and Arab nations around the world. Without any UN to protect us, we flourished in all the countries in Tunisia, Yemen, Morocco, Egypt, Algeria, in Iran, and in Palestine. And we have people alive today from the Muslim and from the Jewish community who testify and they, bear witness to our coexistence, and you can still see the synagogues and so forth there. And Zionism has driven a rift and a mistrust and an animosity between these people, because the Muslim and Arab people look at the Jews as their enemies, because they think that Jews and Zionism are the same, and they feel that we've done a terrible deed to them, paid bad for good that has been done to us. And we know, and the Torah requires of us that we should pay good, always reciprocate and show our appreciation for good done. So as a Jew, we're mortified what's being done, and it hurts us so much. We want to show our appreciation for Muslim countries, and we tell the world, these countries, these people that are being accused of being anti-Semitic, are on the contrary, were the places where Jews ran to by the Holocaust, by the Spanish Inquisition, by the Crusades, till today. How could you dare accuse them of being, and vilify them, when these were our friends? And so what we do is we went, with God's help, I went to Gaza, we brought medical aid, we went to a delegation of rabbis, and with representation from Palestine, from England, UK, from Canada, from the US, and we were embraced by the leadership there. We went to Lebanon, we went to visit the camps there, and we went to every country, Muslim country, to let the world understand that first to pray to God for a speedy and peaceful dismantlement of this impediment to peace, the state of Israel, a rebellion against God, and not to be intimidated, to speak up for the people of Gaza and Palestine that are suffering. And we had representation with, when Yasser Arafat became president of the Palestinian Authority, we had representation there. This rabbi passed away. And as I say, we're non-political, so when President Khatami was the president of Iran, or President Ahmadinejad, or we went around and they embrace us and we embrace them. We say that we have no conflict. It's nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with the religious conflict. That's just a Zionist ploy to intimidate and to have people silenced, not to help the people of Palestine. Let the world know that the root cause of the endless rivers of bloodshed is Zionism. God help end this, and a total dismantlement of this state of Israel, then we will be able to embrace each other, live together, Jews together with the Arab countries, and then we'll, again, as we've had for so many hundreds of years, and we'll be able to show our gratitude to them. God help soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just for our viewers, could you quickly define the word Zionism?
Yes, yeah. Zionism Zion actually is a word called Zion in the books of the prophets. It's Zion. Zion means the city of David, which is basically Jerusalem. And the Zionists were people who are non-religious as a whole, and they detested the religion. They were estranged from Theodor Herzl, Jabotinsky, and so forth. And so they wanted to make a new type of a Judaism, a nationalism, a materialistic issue. I could just have the country, and like I say, to be a first-class country with a strong military and so forth. So Zionism is a transformation to change from the religion, Judaism, into a nationalism. So it's really contradictory, the antithetical of what Judaism is. And I always show quotes. We put, now again in the historic documents, we put together, let's say Theodor Herzl, he said the way to solve the problem of anti-Semitism, he wrote in his own diary, on page 14 he wrote, the way to solve the problem of anti-Semitism is to speak to the head priest of Vienna, to get an appointment with the Pope, to make a mass conversion of all the Jews of Austria to Catholicism. It should be done on a Sunday, in the middle of the day, with music and cry publicly. We are the last generation that held on to the faith of our forefathers. And it goes on and on. In other words, the solution to what Jews suffer is they should all drop their religion. So you can imagine, and he's supposed to be the hero of Judaism. Yeah. When we gave our lives in the Inquisition and were burnt at the stake, and we gave our lives to uphold the religion, our covenant with God, and he just throws it away. In fact, it's well known, and he had one son called Hans, and he never circumcised this son. I'm looking where I have that, but the fact is, it's written, and nobody claims different. He had one son, Hans, and he never circumcised, which Jews gave their lives to uphold the covenant with God. Then you have Zev Jabotinsky, who was the mentor of Begin, Menachem Begin, Prime Minister in Israel, and he wrote in a newspaper called Chadashas Haaretz in 1919. He wrote, this is in Palestine, in the national home we will announce that those Jews who have on themselves the rust of exile and they refuse to shave off their beards and earlocks. I mean, this is payas, it's called earlocks, the payas. So Jews who refuse to shave off their beards and earlocks will be second-class citizens who will not have the right to vote.
Wow.
And here he's saying that they're the ones who will come protect us against the Arabs. When the Arabs, I personally was in Yemen around 20-odd years ago, and we worked in the hills, in the countries. Everybody had guns. In fact, there was a tribal war at the time when I was there. And the Jews, we traveled on the road, they would stop us by roadblocks, and they would say, Yahud, a Jew, let him pass, not a problem. And I remember that there was somebody had a little quarrel, and somebody pulled the payas of another Jew. It was true, and the court punished this guy. This Yemenite court, he made him pay like a fine for doing that. Just how far it goes, so they're the ones who protected us, and then to have, like I say, the audacity, to call and say that to the world that these people are the enemies of the Jews, and you're our friends. These Zionists hated the Jews, hated the religion, and so we say that the works of the Shatan, the Satan. Yeah. It is no other logical understanding why the world should allow them to take this whole land away from the Palestinians and to accept their farce, that they're protecting the Jews and all what they did when the Jewish community begged the UN and said, we don't want to be occupied, the Jewish community, beside the Muslim Christian. So, like I say, with God's help, God is compassionate, and we see that because it says in the Torah, if you will go against God, it will not be successful. So it cannot be a long-time solution. And we know that it will end the occupation. We pray to God that it should happen soon, peacefully, without any more suffering.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
No
Sometimes,
yeah. No problem.
Yeah, thank you very much. Oh, that's smart. Put it in the camera. There, you got it. Yeah. You can send it to that P.O Box or whatever. It says over there. Yeah.